1981 is the year of the release of this fragrance, and it's a fragrance that I've had in my collection for, well, I've had it before, but I got this bottle yesterday because, you know, I really wanted to revisit this scent and really have it in my collection again. Because the older bottle that I had was a 50ml bottle, and it didn't go far. Smaller bottles never really do, but it really depends on the fragrance, and this is a fragrance that I love really much. But this is the new formulation, and a lot of people have been telling me to check it out, in all fairness, because in all fairness, I didn't think the new formulation was worth it, but a lot of people have also said to check it out. So we're going to be talking about Kouros by Yves Saint Laurent. Like I said, it came out in 1981. It was created by Pierre Bourdon, and it's an amazing scent. So 1981 was the release of this fragrance, and it's pretty much, guys, this fragrance, it's quite famous. This is really one of the best fragrances to come out of the 80s, but even nowadays, it's, you know, people would probably not like it, although it still gets a lot of respect in the fragrance community. If you guys are on Instagram, Facebook, or even on YouTube, you'll find that a lot of people are still talking about this fragrance. So that's what I'm doing in this review. We're basically just going to talk about it, and yeah, if it's still worth it in this day and age, and if this new version is anything like the older batch that I had. Now, just so you guys know, the older batch that I did have, it's not like it was a complete vintage. I believe the bottle that I had prior to this one I got in 2012, so... But in all fairness, there is a few changes to it. There's been a few changes with the bottle design. I'll go through that. Well, not too much with the bottle design itself, but with what's actually on the bottle that's changed. The box is also different. Oh, hello, Delilah. What are you doing? I'm trying to do a review here. Do you mind? How are you? What are you? She's literally... I'm sat on the window so I can get the best light, and she's just looking out the window. Come on, Delilah, I'm trying to do a review. So yeah, guys, let's spray it here. And we'll make that the dry down, and then I'll spray it again on the other hand to talk about the opening. This is what it looks like now. The older box design, look like this. So there's a few changes in terms of its color and its design in general. Yeah, in general, it hasn't really changed much. Modernized, if anything else. And the bottle it's pretty much never changed, although if you get older batches, there used to be silver around this part. And I believe, I believe what they did was the silver that was around here originally, they moved it up and just kept the silver on the atomizer. So either way, it's the same design. I preferred it when it had the silver around here, in all fairness, but yeah. Information on the bottom, guys. We just get 100 ml, 3.3 fluid ounce. Okay, so straight away, guys, where to start with Kouros? This is definitely one of the most polarizing, most unique, I would say probably one of the most daring fragrances to come out of the 80s, because the smell of it is just so, like I said, polarizing and unique, but it gives you this feeling of just exclusiveness, you know, like whenever you wear this, you feel important, and you know, it's definitely not a casual scent. I think because of its strength and the overall theme of the fragrance, this is definitely not a casual fragrance. And apparently, when this first came out in the 80s, this was used for business. So office workers, lawyers, anyone who's in business wore this. And I think the reason for that is, again, because it leaves an impression. It leaves this impression of authority. It's weird when I say that, but when I smell this, I get this feeling of importance. It's like just anything but casual. Even though you could probably wear this for casualness, in all fairness, but what makes it just so good is the fact that it just smells so different. And I think when it came out in the 80s, it was different. It was a very revolutionizing fragrance in terms of its DNA. Of course, 1981 was an amazing time for fragrance. You know, we had fragrances like Antaeus, for example, that came out, Drakkar Noir. So there was a lot of big fragrances getting released at the time, but Kouros, to me, has always been a standout fragrance. In other words, it hasn't been recreated by any other brand. It hasn't, or anything. It's not influenced by any other brand. I think the reason is because it's so daring. And people call this fragrance a dirty type of scent. A lot of people say that it has this dirty smell to it, like sweat, Personally, I don't think it smells anything like that. I can see what people think. It may be the kind of scent that people would use to mask up their body odor, but all fragrances can, cover a body odor at the end of the day. But I think what makes this so good is the fact that it's a heavy fragrance on the musks, the animalic sides. Well, maybe not the animalic as much now, but in the 80s, this was a very, very strong animalic fragrance. It had like real civet in it. The musks that were used in this were real. I believe it even had castoreum. So the fragrance itself was more true to itself in the 80s. But this version right here, it's still good. It's still got that Kouros DNA. It may not be as strong. I do get a bit of a weaker smell out of it, but in terms of the overall smell, it is there. Now, let's talk about the smell now. So when you first spray Kouros, you'd really do, like I said, you get this unique smell, and it's really difficult to really pinpoint what kind of notes are inside it. When you first spray this, the overall feel that you get is a powdery, strong, very potent fragrance. And I think that what really helps that is not just the fact that it, like I said before, it has like the musks and that. Of course, it does have that today. But I think what really gives this fragrance that nice aura is the fact that it also has aldehydes in the opening, which creates an airiness. There's also a really, really nice honey note in here. So if you guys are into honey, you'll like this. Like I said, not everyone's going to like it, but if you're really into fragrances, especially the fragrances from the 80s, you're going to love it. You're really going to love it. I think what makes it so good is that powderiness. It can be a little bit, what's the right word? It can come across as smelling quite stinky. And I mean, what I mean by that is just because of the musks. But after about 10 minutes, the fragrance, it gets better. That's when the honey comes out. That's when the florals come out. And I also believe there's oak moss and everything in there as well, which really gives it that earthiness. But it's just absolutely incredible. I believe this won tons of awards when it came out in the 80s. I mean, nowadays, I can understand why people wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, because it's not modern. To be fair, I really cannot see Kouros being around forever because of the time it came out in. And the smell it gives off is just heavenly 80s. It's so strong on that 80s DNA with the musks and everything. But I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think if anyone is into those older fragrances, would really love it too. It's just a fragrance that I think really deserves a chance. I think, in today's day and age, there's so many blue fragrances, fresh fragrances, and we seem to be really falling in love with strong, spicy, oud, like gourmand fragrances. They're really popular now. These fragrances were what were popular in the 80s. And if you really want to get an idea of what 80s fragrances truly were about, Kouros is the best choice. Of course, there are other fragrances that you can go for as well. Like I said before, there's Antaeus, Drakkar Noir. But I think Kouros is the only fragrance that really pushed boundaries because it's daring and it has this stinky aura to it. But once it dries down, to me, Kouros is a masterpiece. There's no doubt about it. The fragrance itself just gets more beautiful the longer it sits. And the fact that it's so strong as well, that it gives it amazing longevity. I mean, I'm going to wear this today. I'm not actually wearing a fragrance, so I'm just going to spray 3 sprays. One on the back as well. Straight away, sillage on this is massive. Oh, hello, Delilah, can you smell it? But it's a great powdery, strong fragrance. If you're into musk, you like honey notes and, the aldehyde fragrances of the 70s and 80s, this has it all. So, yeah, that's my review, guys. I just wanted to bring a review for the new formulation for Kouros. It is really, really good. I mean, of course, like all YSL fragrances, it can be expensive, although I got this for £44 in the perfume shop here in the UK, which is, you can't go wrong, do you know what I mean? And apparently it was £70, so the price had been heavily discounted. And I do believe the fact that it was that price because we were in another store and it was like £70 in there. So yeah, it really matters where you look. I even got it cheaper than it is on eBay. I was checking today and I believe on eBay it's going for like 55. So yeah, I was able to get it for a really good price. Even in its new formulation, I would highly recommend it. But here's the last bit of information for you guys. Apparently, I mean, like I said before, I've never smelled vintage Kouros. I would love to, but I've never smelled it because, well, one, it's hard to find, and two, I mean, you can find miniatures online. I might have to end up doing that, but it's just harder to find more than any other fragrance, really, from the 80s. But what makes it even cooler is the fact that there is actually a fragrance from Milton Lloyd. And I've had a few fragrances from Milton Lloyd. In case you don't know what they are, they're a clone house. And they do a fragrance called The Man Silver. And you can get that for about $5.99 in most stores, discount stores. You can even get it for that price online as well. They're really good fragrances. They're good copies. And The Man Silver by Milton Lloyd apparently gives off the same type of smell as vintage Kouros. In all fairness, I had a bottle of that and it was super strong. So strong. It was even stronger than this. And that speaks volumes considering the fact that this is the actual YSL Kouros fragrance of 2022, you know. But the fact that you can get a great copy from Milton Lloyd, again, speaks volumes. Amazing volumes, really. So I'll probably end up getting a bottle of that again, because it's so cheap, just to maybe compare them. I might do a future video. If you guys would like to see me doing a comparison video on a clone of Kouros and the real Kouros, do let me know. And yeah, that's been the end of my review, guys. Just an amazing fragrance. One thing I didn't mention is the longevity. This will pretty much last you 10 to 11 hours. Great longevity. The sillage as well is amazing. Like, I can even just smell it on myself right now, and I have no doubt that this fragrance will travel off your skin quite far. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, my girlfriend will probably be able to smell it from those sprays. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's just over there, so I mean, yeah, it's strong stuff. It's really strong stuff, but I would highly recommend it. It's just awesome. So, yeah, that's the end of this review, guys. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Like I said, it's great to be back. The fact that I've got over 5,000 subscribers now is awesome. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and just means a lot. It really does. So thank you. Thank you all so much. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. It'll probably be, I don't know, but stay tuned. Appreciate it, guys. Keep smelling good, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.